I remember you doing some dumb right? We talked about it on here. Freddie has an old saying, if you don't do dumb we won't have dumb to talk about. And then it seems like a switch went off, and you have all of a sudden just, I mean, I hate to say matured overnight. I know there was a conversation between you and Dale Jr. where he maybe gave you a little bit of humble pie to have for dessert, right? What happened? What's clicked to make you a better race car driver inside your own head? Because you had the speed. It had to be up here, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different things. Part of it is understanding like what they mean slow down to go fast, right? Like I would hear it my whole life. Like you need to slow down.
That's a Richmond tactic too.
I sat at Sonoma even and I won the pole and I had 16. I feel like awkward, very uncomfortable, like gut wrenching conversations, right? Like with a bunch of, even the Alliance, like Trackhouse, like Daniel Suarez is filling in. Worldwide Express, Nice, all the way down the chain, my team, that team, everything. And I had conversations with almost all of them, and all of them were uncomfortable. And all of them were, just slow down a little bit. Like, you'll go faster. I'm like, what do you mean slow down? Like, I always thought you had to win the race because you're the fastest guy. You had to, like, boxing, like, mentality. Like, that's where I came into this. I thought, if I'm in a boxing ring, I'm going to just keep punching. I'm going to figure out how to keep punching, and you get that last round, you just start swinging. You don't worry about how tired you are. You don't worry about how much breath you have left. You don't worry about anything. You just plan on laying in the ground the second the ring goes because you're that tired. That was my mentality driving, and I was just going to – why wouldn't you put 110% of all your level into every lap you run and – took it way to the extreme. Like, I was way to the extreme.
I agree. At times we saw that.
Desperate in every moment. Thought I should win every race or have a shot to win every race. At times I would, like, have a shot to win, right? And you see it all, something happens, flat tire, anything. And I would see there and see it all fall away, right? I'm like, man, what do I got to do to get back in the race, like back in the moment? And then realizing back then, like, okay, even if you're back in the race, you're going to start 24th or 25th or 26th or wherever it is left, you ain't winning the race. Like, and once I started realizing that, and I started looking back at it and realizing you probably don't want the whole garage against you. You don't want your whole team against you. You have a lot of awkward conversations. You're tired of the conversations with your own team owner and your own sponsors, your own everything. That running fifth and, like, decent conversations and working on your stuff's a lot better than winning. And I was just so focused on winning. And once I got the first win, I could kind of realize, like, I thought it would fix itself, right? Like, and like I didn't have to make a change. Like, I very much thought, I don't know if it's the arrogance as a race car driver or whatever, like, oh, I'm not the problem, right? And then I won a race. I'm like, oh, everything's going to fix itself. My hands are clean. Everything will fix itself. Yeah. And then go to Martinsville, and then all of a sudden I'm having these conversations. I'm like, I won a race. Like, why are these conversations
It didn't fix it.
Why are these conversations still happening? And then got sat down, had more conversations, had the big piece of humble pie with Dale Jr., and then I'm like, whenever it clicked, and I'm like, man, I just showed up in this guy's shop, idol of mine, childhood dream, and that's the first thing out of his mouth. Like,
what'd he say?
He said, hey, man, like, when are you going to stop tearing up? Like, that was his conversation.
Owners don't like to spend money on fixing
like,
stuff.
He's like, you ain't going to do that in one of these cars, are you? Like, he's like, man, you're better than that. I'm like, oh, like 6-year-old me's like, all I see is a 6-year-old me just sitting there. Like, it like, I was envisioning, like, he was talking to 6-year-old me. I'm like, man, I gotta fix this, like, really fast.
Yeah,
like,
right. It has to be a little bit eye-opening. Two things. A, Dale Jr.'s noticing, right? You're this kid, grows up, he's your hero, and he's watching you race, right? That roles were kind of reversed. And then now he's giving you advice in a very hardcore way.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad he did. I'm glad everybody has. It's like, you can't have yes men in life, and you just can't have that. Like, I never would have changed if I did.
Before we talk about the playoffs, I got to ask you, and dude, this is going to be, you may squirm on me right here or swing at me talk about boxing. Would you, looking back at all the dumb shit you did, right, Would you have suspended yourself at any point if you were in NASCAR, given the fact of what we know now? I know it's hard to be unbiased and answer that, but I got to know.
I'm shocked I wasn't. Not gonna lie, I'm shocked I wasn't. I'm very, very thankful I wasn't. I can't talk too much about it, right? I can't say I can't say, oh yeah, you should.
Let's just say you've grown up a lot.
I'm very glad that they. I mean, I had to go to I've had to go to the hauler a few times, and I've had to go to NASCAR HQ and have those conversations. And I mean, that's the reason they didn't, right? And I'm very, very glad they didn't, because if they did, I would have been just. I think if they did, right, like I think at the time I wouldn't have looked at it like that was the punishment. I would have looked like it was unfair.
Yeah.
I would have looked at it like it was them against me and, whatever. But they just kept having the conversations. They kept talking to me. They kept trying to get it into me. And I think that was what helped click. And I was like.
Was there one conversation that stands out?
Yeah,
when you left it, you were like, you know what?
Yeah, it was the last one, the most recent one. Right after Martinsville, went to NASCAR and walked in, and there were 3 or 4 people in there, and it was just a long talk. And I'm like, okay, yep, yep. And I was understanding it, and I was fully vocal on my side, and I told them my side, and told them everything where I was at, and I explained to them, like, look, I understand this is, and I talked about my mindset, where I was at, where I was thinking, what I was in the moment. I went through every single instance from my whole career. Talked with them, like it was a long talk. And Seth with the Truck Series, I talked to him almost every week, and either good or bad. And you have those conversations, you have that relationship, you have everything. And I'm glad they didn't. Definitely shocked at times I wasn't, but looking back now, but I'm glad they didn't, because I think it would have done I wouldn't have had the turnaround. I think everything was supposed to happen for a reason, right?
Yep.
And I think if I didn't have all those growing pains, I wouldn't be in a spot where I am now, and it would have taken me longer to get there. I would have been in a better spot, right, if those weren't happening, but I think they would have been a lot further apart.
Yeah, good. Well, the good news is we've seen
a lot
maturity.
of drivers too, though.
Yeah,
that have been very
there's been
successful.
A lot of, listen, man, we've seen them all come through there. Harvick.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a long list of guys.
A lot of successful guys have had these meetings too.
But you've flipped the switch. You're showing maturity. You're showing speed. 3 wins. Your first year winning a truck race. You already got 3 wins. Playoffs are coming up. You're sitting 3rd in the standings. What is your mental approach going into this, man? Because you're up against some Goliaths out there.
I mean, we're in a good spot, right? And I'm trying not to overthink it. I'm trying not to ever get the pressure get to me, because I don't want to get in that desperation ever. It's we're in a lot better spot. We don't have our tongue hanging out. Last 2 years, we've had our tongue hanging out. You're always on that edge. You're always just on the cut line. So every spot matters. And if you're going backwards, you feel like you're just watching the points fall. Where now we're 3rd in points. Like, we got plenty of room. We got plenty of gap. Even the next round, we're gonna have playoff points in the bank. Like, should be, a lot less pressure, a lot less high of stakes. And I'm not letting myself get the pressure of the playoffs. So I'm just focused on one race at a time. That's
the
where
easiest thing
I have
to do.
Work on my mind more.
Is beat yourself right now. Speeding on pit road. Do I need to go 3 wide right here with these 2 guys that are in a much more desperate situation than I am? You know what I mean? Like, if you have a 4th place truck, run 4th with it. You probably end up 2nd or have a shot at winning, because mistakes will happen in front of you. But it's so hard to, just make yourself slow down that little bit. And a lot of drivers can't do it. But you got a good point buffer, and you have a good shot at finishing these races out, just minding your own business and carrying momentum into the next round. So
yeah, I've always noticed too, like that's what saved me my first year, is everybody crashed at Vegas race 1, right?
Yeah.
I was in the red heading into the playoffs, and race 1 I was in the green after, because we just finished the race, and because everybody crashed. Like it seems like the first round is so chaotic that I don't want to. Now I am that guy up front that I just got to be able.
There's
to
guys
just
going to
get
drive over their
points.
heads, and that just when they do that, your point buffer is just going to get even bigger, and you didn't even do anything but just mind your own business.
Yep.